Now, if you've been watching any of my tutorial videos, you'll notice that I use this neat little Bosch drill. It's quite handy, small, got a good amount of power for the size, but it's very useful rather than the bigger drills for doing sort of model making and things like that. So it's quite useful for making the puppets, drilling out the string holes and the joint holes and that sort of thing. But I found, I've had this for quite a few years now, and it's got two batteries with it, but one of the batteries started to die. It's losing its charge quite a lot. So I thought I need some new batteries, and I thought, well, actually, rather than just buying a battery, I'll buy a new tool. So I picked this up, which is the GRO 12 volt, so it uses the same batteries as they're all interchangeable as the small drills. They're now called 12 volts. This old one was actually was a 10.8, I think, but it's just, they're now called 12. It's exactly the same thing, it's just now called 12 volt. So I got myself a couple of batteries, which is good. So I've got a couple of brand new batteries, and obviously I've got a new charger as well. But I picked up this because I thought this might be quite useful. Now, I have had sort of Dremel type things before. I had a Dremel years ago, which eventually packed up. And I have got a flexible drive, which I occasionally use for carving. It's a bit more heavy duty. But I thought this might be quite useful for the smaller work that we're going to do, particularly in puppets. And it's one of those things that probably be a useful tool when you've got one and you realise how useful it is. So yes, I picked this up the other day. I haven't used it yet. I've just sort of taken it out of the box and had a bit of a look at it, but it looks like a nice-ish tool. It's not too heavy. It's got, so you get the charger, two batteries. I got the one with the plastic box, rather than, you can just buy the body, I think, on its own, and you can buy it in different variations. But I've got the plastic box with my other set, so I thought it's quite nice to keep them all neat and tidy if I have to pack up and move again somewhere. So you get obviously the instruction books and two batteries, so that will come in useful for the using as spares for the drills as well. And you get some accessories. You don't get a huge amount of accessories. I'd have liked to have seen a few more really in there, but looks like you get the spanner for the little chuck and a different grip on there. I think you can interchange these grips here. I think that's probably going to be more preferable. I think it's to do with how you grip it for that sort of thing. So there's a spare collet in there, and this piece which you can fix these discs onto, the cutting discs, which I probably won't be using those on the puppet side of things, but they might be useful elsewhere. Now, as I said, because I've had before some flexible drive tools, so I have got some cutters around, if I can find them. In fact, I've got one, yeah, here's one. So this is the smaller size, because a lot of I've got some bigger cutters which I can use on the bigger flexible drive, but they're 6mm, I think, shank on those, so it's too big for that. But I have got some of the smaller ones as well, so this little disc cutter is probably quite good, be quite useful for doing some shaping and bits and pieces. And it's quite, it's not too noisy. It's got a nice little light on it as well, which is, I guess, quite useful. But I thought it's going to be helpful for, with this head here, I've got to get in this head and put the eye mechanism in for blinking eyes, so I've got to drill that out, and then I'm going to have to do some shaping inside to get the eye mechanism in. So hopefully it's going to come in quite useful for doing that, but we shall see. Let's just pop this little cutter in and have a quick go with that. So put that one in. Shut that lid down a minute, okay, dust everywhere. Yeah, so that's the trick. So you could easily use that for some power carving, I think, if you've got some more burrs, small burrs that go in there. I think you could probably use this for some power carving. I don't tend to do a lot of power carving myself because I don't like the dust so much. It's bad enough when you have to sort of use the abrasive and smooth things over. But I tend to avoid carving like that just because of the dust. I prefer to use the tools because it's just less messy in a way. But I know it can be useful for some people, and particularly if you know your wrist strength and things are starting to go, then power carving is quite a good option. But anyway, so hopefully over the coming projects that we're going to do, we shall employ this and see if we can get some use out of it. I'm going to probably have to buy a few more cutters and things to make it very useful. As I say, I think it's a nice tool. It's just a shame perhaps they didn't give you a selection, a few more cutters would be a little bit more useful. But I suppose everyone has their own needs, so it's difficult to give people what would be suitable for them. So they have to just give you a few basic ones to get started with, and then you can pick and choose what you want from there. So that's the GRO 12 volt, and we'll see how we get on playing with this.